Welcome to the Lifetime Assembly channel. My name is John. Today I'm going to help you assemble your 8x8 modern shed. This video will follow the steps outlined in the instruction manual that comes with your shed. If you've already begun and need help on a specific step, check the comments or description below for a timestamp associated with each step. Before we get into the assembly process, let's take a look at some of the tools you'll need to complete the job. You'll need a 7/16 wrench, a 3/8 wrench, a crescent wrench, a rubber mallet, a level, a box cutter, a flathead screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, needle nose pliers, a hammer, safety glasses, a ladder, a drill. Also, you may see us use an impact driver. If you decide to use one as well, just be sure not to over tighten or over torque the hardware. A tape measure, 5/16 drill bit, a 5/16 masonry bit, and a 5/32 drill bit. To make this easier, we're going to use a 7/16 socket, a 3/8 socket, and a socket adapter. Your shed comes on a pallet in 2 big boxes. Let's take a look at what you should have received. There are steps in this assembly that require more than one person, so make sure you have at least 2 other adults available to help you. All right, let's get started. Before building your shed, you may need proper building permits, depending on where you live. Consult your local building codes before you get started. This section in the manual will go over the necessary steps on choosing the right platform for your shed. You must provide a platform to assemble your shed on. There are 2 types, concrete or wood. We recommend concrete because it will be the most durable and long-lasting choice. The platform you choose must be built above ground in order to avoid water pooling inside the shed. If you do decide to build your platform out of wood, all the wood must be rated for outdoor use. Also keep in mind that the platform must be flat and level, otherwise the shed will not assemble correctly. It is extremely important that you refer to your instruction manual for section 1. This video will cover the assembly of the shed and not the build of the platform, so we're going to move on to the next section. Attach 6 L brackets to the beam with the hardware provided. Do not over tighten. When this portion of the assembly is finished, it's going to stand upright inside the shed. You need to make sure that the L brackets from the previous step are on top of the beam. Now we're going to attach the vertical truss supports to the beam with the gussets. Now you're going to attach 1 L bracket to the bottom of each vertical truss support. Now you're going to slide the short gutter channel into the long gutter channel so the holes line up. Now you're going to insert the 4 bolts through the square holes from the inside out. Now secure each bolt with a nut. Repeat the previous steps for the next 2 trusses. Insert a bolt into each end of the transom support, making sure that it goes through on the dimpled side. Repeat this step for the next 3 transom supports. Now add the transom supports to the header bars through the square holes, making sure you put a bracket on each end of 1 header bar. Just finger tighten the hardware for now. Now you're going to take the upper deadbolt bracket and attach it to the side of the transom that has the other brackets, making sure it's oriented like this. Now you're going to take the butyl tape and place it over the groove, working your way around until you get back to where you started. Now repeat the previous step for the other 2 windows. Before we attach the window panes to the transom, remove the backing of the butyl tape as well as both of the protective layers on each side of the window panes. Now secure the window panes to the transom using the screws. Similar to the previous steps, you'll take the butyl tape and lay it over the groove, going around the window and take it back to where you started. You'll end up using about 1.5 rolls of butyl tape. Now secure a vent and a screen to the right gable using the hardware. Before you attach the window pane to the gable, make sure you remove the protective film from both sides of the window pane. Now go ahead and attach the window pane to the gable with the hardware. Repeat the previous steps for the other gable. Now you're going to take a square tube and insert it into the square hole at the bottom of the left door. Eventually these holes should line up with these holes, but for now we're going to leave it about 6 inches out. Insert the end cap into the bottom of the square tube. Continue pushing the square tube through the door until the holes line up. If this step is difficult, go ahead and tap the tube with a rubber mallet. Now you're going to take the door latch bracket and attach it to the door using the hardware. Only finger tighten for now. On the back side of the door, there are 7 divots that you'll be drilling through with the provided drill bit. You will be drilling through the tube, but not all the way through to the other side. Now you're going to take your inner door channel and line it up with the holes on the door and secure with hardware. Now you're going to attach the upper and lower door latches to the door with the screws. If you have a hard time adjusting the latch, go ahead and loosen the screws just a little bit. Now you're going to attach the handle to the door with the hardware. For this step, you're going to take a hinge tube and slide it into the hole at the bottom of the door. If necessary, use a rubber mallet to tap it up. For this step, we're going to take the square tube and insert it into the square hole at the bottom of the door. These holes eventually will line up with these holes, but for now, we're going to push the pole in until it's about 6 inches left. Insert the end cap into the bottom of the square tube. Then push the remainder of the pole all the way up until the holes line up. If need be, go ahead and tap it with a rubber mallet. Now attach the locking mechanism to the door with the hardware. Just finger tighten for now. There's only one divot to drill out on this door. Go ahead and drill through, but not all the way to the other side. Now secure with the screw. Secure the handle to the door using the hardware provided. For this step, you're going to take a notched hinge tube and slide it into the hole at the bottom of the door. If need be, use a mallet to tap it up. Now you're going to connect the inner floor panel and the outer floor panel by bringing the edges together and interlocking the tabs as you lay it down. Now attach the outer panel to the inner panel using the same method as before. There are 4 weep holes along the perimeter of the floor panel. If they haven't been punched out already, use a pen, a knife, a drill to punch out a hole. Secure the panels together by inserting screws in the divots near the seams. Attach the strike plate to the front edge of the floor using the hardware. Insert the 2 bushings into the holes on the front edge of the floor. This is where the doors will go later. Now you're going to take an end cap and put it on one end of each of the tubes. If needed, go ahead and use a mallet to tap them on. Now take the square tubes and insert them into the hole at the bottom of each of the wall panels, pushing them in until they're flush with the bottom of the panel. If need be, use a rubber mallet to tap them all the way up. If you're having a hard time getting the pole to go all the way up, go ahead and remove the cap and hit it a little harder with the rubber mallet. At the bottom of the wall panel, there's a divot where we inserted the tube. Go ahead and drill through it, just not to the other side, so we can attach the wall to the tube later. Go ahead and secure the wall panel to the tube using the hardware provided. Insert the wall tube into the hole on the front right corner panel. Keep in mind that this tube does not have any notches in either end. Now you're going to slide the tabs at the bottom of the wall panel into the slots on the front of the floor panel, pushing it over until the pole lines up with the bushing that we placed in earlier. Bend the wall panel until the tabs at the bottom line up with the slots on the floor panel. Pull down on the wall panel until you hear a click. That's how you know it's in place. Insert the tabs at the bottom of the wall panel into the slots on the floor panel, sliding it forward towards the corner panel. Secure the 2 panels together using 5 screws. Repeat the previous steps for the next wall panel, but you'll be securing to the previous panel. Insert the next corner panel using the same method as before. Install the next 2 wall panels using the same method as before. Install the next corner panel using the same method as before. Attach the next 2 wall panels on the left side of the shed using the same method as before. Now you're going to take a wall tube and insert it into the hole at the bottom of the front left corner panel. If need be, go ahead and use a rubber mallet to tap it all the way up. Insert the last corner panel using the same method as you did for the first one. When it comes to selecting your shelf height, there are 3 different shelf heights that you can choose from. Once you've selected your height, go ahead and use the provided drill bit to drill through the tube, but don't go all the way through to the other side. From where you drilled out the holes for your shelf, find the corresponding holes on the corner panel and place a screw anchor big end in first. For this next step, attach the shelf bracket to the screw anchors we just installed. Now attach the rest of the shelf brackets to the holes we drilled out previously. Now you're going to take the shelf support tubes and attach them to the bottom of the long shelf. They should snap in. Now you're going to lower the shelf onto the brackets, making sure that the word back is facing up and towards the rear wall. Now attach the shelf to the brackets with the screws. With the help of at least one other person, take the beam from earlier and place it into the shed in the slots on the floor. Have one person hold the beam while you secure it to the wall and the floor. Now we're going to secure the top of the beam to the wall using a nut and a bolt. It's very helpful to have someone on the outside so they can secure the nut to the bolt. For this next step, you're going to take the right gable and have another person lift it into place while you secure it to the wall. Repeat the previous steps for the left gable. For this next step, it'll be helpful to have two people. You're going to take the rear wall extension and slide it into the notches on the end of the two gables. Secure the rear wall extension to the back wall using the screws provided. The front two corner panels need to be at a 90-degree angle. To help accomplish this, we're going to insert a screw at the top. For the next step, you're going to have one person lift the hinge tube up about 2 inches so you can slide the hinge cap into place. Then have the other person push the hinge tube back down into the bushing. If necessary, use a rubber mallet to get it to go down. Now we're going to attach the left door. To do so, you need to drop the hinge tube so you can line up the notches with the hinge cap. Once that's installed, go ahead and put a hinge cap at the top, making sure the notches line up. Repeat the previous 2 steps for the right door. Slide the grooves on the transom onto the tabs on the gables, making sure the hinge tubes line up with the holes on the transom. Secure the transom piece to the front panels with the screws. With the provided drill bit, drill out the divot on the transom piece that goes into the hinge tube, but don't go all the way through. Next, attach the rain stop to the bottom of the front panel with the provided screws. Now you're going to take the 3 trusses from earlier and lay the end with the bolts on the front transom while laying the back on the rear wall extension, making sure that the holes in the truss line up with the brackets on the beam. Repeat that step for the other 2 trusses. Secure the trusses to the brackets on the beam using the hardware. As you do this, make sure that you put the bolts inside the truss going out. Now take 4 of the roof supports and insert them into the channels on the back of the roof panels. Go ahead and repeat this step for the rest of the roof panels. Now we're going to insert the screw anchors into the slots on the back of the roof panel. Not all the slots will be used, so be sure to follow along. Before you move on to any other roof panel, make sure you put your diagonal roof support on first and that it's in the correct position, oriented with the flat side up. Keep in mind that this roof panel will go on the lower left side of the shed later. Move on to the next roof panel, adding screw anchors. They go in specific locations, so be sure to follow along. Before moving on to any other roof panel, make sure that you put your diagonal roof support on. Remember, the flat part needs to be facing up and that it goes in a specific location. Keep in mind that this roof panel will go on the lower right side of the shed later. For the next roof panel, we're going to put 14 screw anchors into the back side of the roof panel. They go in specific locations, so be sure to follow along. Keep in mind that this roof panel will go in the middle of the shed later. For this next roof panel, it will be the same as the previous roof panel, so be sure to put the screw anchors in the same location. Keep in mind that this roof panel will go in the middle of the shed later. Snap 9 anchors into the upper roof panel. They go in specific locations, so be sure to follow along. Before moving on to the next roof panel, be sure to put your diagonal roof support on with the flat part going down. They go in a specific location. On this roof panel, we're adding 9 screw anchors. They go in specific locations, so be sure to follow along. Before moving on to the next roof panel, be sure to add your diagonal roof support and make sure that the flat side is going down and it goes in a specific location, so be sure to follow along. For this roof panel, we're adding 7 anchors. They go in specific locations, so be sure to follow along. This roof panel is the same as the previous roof panel, so be sure to put the screw anchors in the same location. For the next step, we're going to take the lower left roof panel and place it on the left side of the shed. Make sure that when you do this, the diagonal roof support is in the lower left corner. Also make sure that the edge of the roof panel is resting in the truss. Now you're going to attach the roof panel to the truss and the gable using the screws. They go in specific spots, so be sure to follow along. Now you're going to take the upper roof panel and place it onto the upper left-hand side of the shed. Be sure that the diagonal roof support goes in the left-hand corner of the shed, while the opposite edge goes in the truss. The upper roof panel will secure to the transom, gable, truss, and lower roof panel. Now add the two middle roof panels by sliding the edges into the trusses. Now secure the two middle roof panels to the trusses and back wall using the hardware provided. They go in specific locations, so be sure to follow along. Now secure the upper middle roof panels by sliding the edges in the trusses. Secure the middle two roof panels to the transom and trusses. Now add the lower right roof panel using the same method as the left side. Make sure that the diagonal roof support is in the lower right-hand corner of the shed, while the opposite side is in the truss. Now go ahead and secure the lower roof panel to the trusses and gable. The screws go in specific locations, so be sure to follow along. Now add the final roof panel in the upper right-hand corner of the shed. Secure the panel to the shed using the same method as before. Slide the B-guard up into place on each one of the trusses and then screw into place. Insert the screw anchor into the transom piece located here and on the opposite side. Now we're going to lift the transom frame up into place, aligning the tubes with the notches on the transom, and then securing them to place with the screw in the divots we drilled out earlier. The curved end of the bracket should fit over the groove in the gable. Next, you're going to push on these tubes until they're locked into place. Now you're going to secure the rest of the transom frame to the transom. There's a smaller diameter screw that goes on the bottom on the outside holes on either side. The rest of the holes require the larger diameter screw. Now you're going to secure the transom bracket to the gable using the small screws. Now go ahead and secure the cap nuts on the transom frame from earlier. Now go ahead and place the caps on one end of the square tubes. Now go ahead and attach the square tube to the gable, making sure the capped end is by the beam. Now repeat the same steps for the other side of the shed. Now go ahead and take the hooks and slide them into the slots on the walls. These hooks hold a max of 7 pounds, but no more than 30 pounds on a single wall panel. If the right door is not level, you can place a shim under the hinge, or you can place a shim under the back left corner, and vice versa for the other door. Since this video focuses on the assembly, it's extremely important that you refer to your instruction manual in section 13 on how to properly anchor your shed. Failure to properly anchor your shed can result in serious injury or property damage. Thank you for watching this video of how to assemble your lifetime 8x8 modern shed. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. For more content like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to our customer service team and check out our other awesome products at lifetime.com.